You're very welcome back to Unstable TV. So today we're celebrating something special. Before we get into that, if this is your first time on the channel, do not forget to
like, subscribe, comment, share. If you like learning with us, make sure you hit that bell. And if you're back with us again, thanks guys.
So what exactly are we checking out today, Danielle?
So James, as it is Anzac Day today in Australia, which stands for Australia and New Zealand Army Corps, in case anybody doesn't know. We don't know either.
Yeah, and that's why we're trying to learn it today, because as we are here in the country, we want to know exactly what is going on for Anzac Day.
Absolutely. So buckle up and let's learn together. The only thing we really know is it's about army veterans, and that's all our knowledge of what the day is.
So without further ado, let's learn this together. Let's go. That's the big Les music. Okay.
Every year in Australia, we commemorate a very important day in Australian history known as Anzac Day. At this time of the year, you might sometimes bake Anzac biscuits or stand in silence to reflect and remember Anzac soldiers. But do you know who the Anzacs were and why it is important that we commemorate this day?
Let's find out.
In 1914, the world was in turmoil at the outbreak of World War I.
Okay.
Though Australia and New Zealand were considered young nations, both of these countries came together to help their British allies in the war.
Okay.
These soldiers were called Anzacs, which stands for Australia and New Zealand Army Corps.
Ah, that makes sense.
I just said that.
On the 25th of April 1915, the Anzacs travelled to a place called the Gallipoli Peninsula to capture the Turkish capital of Istanbul, known then as Constantinople. However, they were met by a fierce defence from Ottoman Turkish soldiers. What they had hoped to be a quick campaign turned out to be 8 months of brutal warfare. 8 months after their arrival, the Anzacs evacuated from Gallipoli, but not before many soldiers had given their life or suffered great injuries. In fact, over 10,000 Anzacs died at the fierce hand of the war at Gallipoli.
Wow.
Upon their return, Australia has commemorated Anzac Day since the 25th of April 1916, 1 year after the Anzacs first arrived at Gallipoli. There are many symbols and emblems that you might recognise on Anzac Day. Let's have a look at a few of them.
Okay, let's see.
Yum,
Biscuits.
an Anzac biscuit. It can be fun to help bake these and even more fun to eat around Anzac Day. But it's a bit funny to remember Anzac Day by eating a biscuit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where did they come from? The Anzac biscuit we have today is similar to a type of food many of the Anzac soldiers carried with them. Because they didn't have fridges or shops to get food from, the soldiers needed to eat food that would not go bad over time. Many carried the first Anzac biscuits, which were a substitute for bread. Though they can be a tasty treat, they also help us remember some of the struggles Anzac soldiers went through.
That makes sense.
Another symbol you might recognise are flowers, such as red poppies or rosemary flowers. Red poppies were famously found growing in some of the most brutal locations of World War I, such as northern France and Belgium, after the war had ended. Rosemary flowers symbolise memory and were found scattered throughout the peninsula at Gallipoli. Because these flowers are very symbolic, they are used as a way for us to remember those fallen by war. They can often be seen being laid down in remembrance of fallen soldiers during days such as Anzac Day. The original Anzac Day was significant because not only was it a day to remember and pay respects to the families and friends of those that had died in war, it also played a major part in forming an Australian identity of courage and mateship that is still important today.
That's good.
Whilst the Anzac legend lives on, soldiers from Australia have defended our country in other wars since World War I. This means that when we commemorate Anzac Day, we remember those that have given their lives in service of our country on other occasions as well.
Okay.
There are many ways Anzac Day is commemorated today. Often people will rise for a dawn service. These services are held at dawn each year because this was the same time Anzac soldiers originally arrived on Gallipoli shores. What are some of the other ways we remember those in our past and present who have committed themselves to the service of our country on Anzac Day?
Anzac Day makes a lot more sense now,
Yeah.
because we weren't sure what way it was. So it was basically the aid of the Australian and New Zealand military coming together to help the British and taking over Constantinople with them. So first off, a very big shout out to the original content creator. Do make sure you check them out, give them a like, subscribe and share and all that good YouTube stuff, and a shout out to you guys for sending this one over. What did you think of that, Danielle?
So I've seen Anzac biscuits around a lot, and I never knew what they were. So it's nice to know that they're able to commemorate all the soldiers with the rations that they even had back then. I think that's still a nice tradition to have today, because things like that can be so easily forgotten. And I haven't tried them yet, but everyone says they're delicious, so we're gonna have to try and taste them. Yeah, it's nice to see that that Australia still celebrates and commemorates all of the fallen soldiers from before, especially since Australia, we're not 100% sure whether they were in World War I. We don't think so, but they were coming to help the Allied forces, the British. It's good that people are still remembering everything that happened that day and all the fallen soldiers since. So it's nice. What did you think?
So you mentioned the two flowers there that we remember them by, the soldiers. Is there any other traditions that you guys have that you can drop in the comments that you do for Anzac Day? We know they wake up at dawn to commemorate the soldiers. If there's anything else like this that you guys do for Anzac Day that wasn't mentioned in the video, please let us know in the comments down below. Or if there's anything else we should check out about Anzac Day, please suggest it to us.
Or if there's anything else about the Australian history that we should know about, considering we're here now, drop it down there too.
That has been our 2 cents, and we will chop ourselves out of this.